to you from the Radio for One studios in Franklin, Michigan. Welcome to the Detroit Cast.
Big fan.
A show not just free of charge, but free of FCC regulations.
Thank you for your support of the Detroit Cast.
Oh, there it is.
And without further delay, it's showtime. Please welcome the Detroit Cast. Here are your hosts, Mike and Jay.
Well. Good day, fine sir. Welcome all to the Detroit Cast. Mike and Jay. Big E, Kadog is here. How are you, my friend? How was your weekend?
Quite well. My weekend was great. I'm happy to be here, Mike.
Yeah. You look like you were involved in some sort of sporting activity.
Yeah, we had some soccer going this weekend.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
I can.
Yeah.
Yes.
What a great weekend weather-wise, though, dude.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got outside.
I did.
Good.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I had some errands to run. I had a birthday party to attend.
I saw you tweeted something that indicated you were out of the house, which
Yes.
is good.
Did you like my tweet?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
The one you're referring to, I think, is
The grocery store?
well, that one. No, you didn't see my other one then.
No.
Yeah, at the grocery store one where, I let Beth go for 1 second and I was tweeting that she ends up in the weirdo section.
Yeah, buying kale chips
Like
and shit.
flax seeds and weird. Just it looks like bird seed. It's the bird seed department
Yeah.
at any of your Kroger establishments.
Quinoa and such.
Yes. And I find her just kind of like going over there and like rifling through shit. I'm like, oh my God. I'll meet you in the frozen pizza aisle. One of those. But
there are people who don't want to do other things. If you want ice cream, you don't go to a barbecue shop.
we happen to be in the Birmingham area.
Oh,
Yeah.
PTSD is kicking in. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's got the willies.
No,
Twitch came back.
I can't
Twitch is
remember.
back.
Yeah, it's okay. It's calm down. I'm not going to make you go there again.
Okay.
You don't ever have to step foot in Birmingham again if you don't want. But so we were in the Kroger at like Lasher and whatever in that West Bloomfield, Birmingham area, and then we had to go through Birmingham to get out of that area.
Birmingham. How do you say Birmingham?
In Birmingham. And so we're driving down the road and in these beautiful neighborhoods and in typical Birmingham
Sure.
fashion. And we see a guy walking down the street and we're like, that son of a bitch. He's out in the wild. Look at him go.
What?
And we ran into that dude.
I'll be damned. It's the justice himself.
Yes.
Wow.
That is an actual Bernstein. Yes. Richard, the blind Bernstein.
Bernstein out in the wild.
Out for a stroll in the wild, cane in hand. And there you go, Kadog, if you hadn't seen it. And so we're driving down the road and I went, look at that son of a bitch. And Beth goes, oh my God, turn around. And so
He turned around and snapped a picture.
what are we going to do? We needed proof.
Yeah. You could have
Right?
walked up right next to him. But like,
It's true.
as long as you're quiet. Just
It was so
Sneak
bad,
up.
dude. It was so bad. Because I felt like it was almost one of those like proof of life videos that terrorists need to take. It was like, I
Yeah.
felt like I needed a proof of life. Otherwise it would be 50-50 that anyone would believe that
well, the opportunity's so there. It's not like a seeing
Yeah.
individual who would spot you and be like, yeah, what are you doing taking a picture of me, asshole? You could just sit in your car and wait for him to saunter by.
Traffic was not ideal, but it was worth it. And so we pulled into a subdivision, took our time. It wasn't like it was a jog going on. And so
You turned around.
we turned around and went, I don't know, a block and a half down, and then turned around again and slowly went by. It was as Beth is leaning out the window of the car. And I swear to God, I almost said, he's going to see you. And then I realized
Yeah,
the error of my ways.
Not
that-
going to see you.
No, it was very unlikely, unless this whole thing's a fraud.
Right.
But she's out there, just like, click, click, click. Like, oh, we look like such assholes. She's like, I hope it's not because he's blind and walking. I swear to God, it's because he's the Bernstein guy.
Right.
That was the only reason for the photo. So anyway, so that was how my weekend went.
I'm sorry I missed that tweet, man.
Yeah,
I'm
I
retweeting you son of a bitch.
I asked you to retweet me, you son of a bitch, and you'll get around to it. I just tweeted it today. So
Okay.
anyway, how was your weekend, E?
Great weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite full. Quite full.
Well, this is the time where you quickly describe it.
I spent a Friday night with a listener of ours. That's his daughter reached out to me about having he was doing a surprise 40th birthday party, and like, would you show up?
What
for
better
this?
present than to have Big E show up? Ooh,
Exactly. That's how I
Dude.
look at it.
Does this daughter like her dad? Or
Maybe there's a bad relationship. I don't know the situation.
This is Dan. Happy birthday, Dan.
No,
right?
but by the way, I want to get this record clear that his name. Some people have referred to him as Dan the Man, but his real nickname is Turtle Dan. I just want to say that. out
Turtle
there.
Dan. Okay.
Yes, I just want him and his friends to know that.
Well,
An inside joke.
they had E over at the house and proceeded to get wasted with him. And E is sitting there holding court, and one of them's filming him.
perfect.
And so they're like, I just get this video sent to me, and it just says, yeah, I was drunk, but not as drunk as Big E, who declared he'd fuck my grandma.
Ooh,
It's like,
Well, they were kind of egging me. You don't
Okay.
see it in the video, but they were kind of egging me on and suggesting that she was a randy old lady.
yeah. So you want to see a couple minutes of what
Sure,
he's like
yeah.
in the wild when we're not around to babysit him.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Just let it happen.
You're gonna do his grandma
It's like a prostate examination. Just let it happen.
Jesus Christ.
Don't worry about it.
with the grandma?
Yeah.
God.
I think we thought he was taking a picture, by the way, which is probably why we're sitting
She's
still.
gonna get 3 inches of white dick. On her way.
Just sit on his dog.
If not, there's always Odin and the peanut butter.
That's true, dude. Plenty of options at the dance house.
What are you doing now?
This looks like the
Is this
party
your
to be
phone?
at.
Yeah.
I'm making a video.
Oh, I hate this song.
Where are you going?
Oh boy.
I don't know what's
What
going on.
about your
She's
grandma?
coming out the chair.
What's the oldest you've ever been with?
No.
Have you ever been with older than Dan's grandma?
No, not older than that.
About that age?
Well,
Oh, I'm excited for
you know what's
that.
great is that there's nobody I have to impress here anymore.
That's right.
Well, for one,
There was no girls
I
there,
lost-
is what I declared.
Your virginity to a prostitute.
I lost my
In
virginity
Chicago.
to a 40-year-old Indian married woman on Craigslist.
Daughter feather.
Any pictures of her?
No, but in my phone, she's still under Indian hoe.
Nice. Got any naked pictures of any girls on your phone at all?
I have some titties.
Do you know the girl?
He's in here.
Yeah, I've fucked her a few times.
All right, that counts.
Haven't heard butthole on there.
Let me
Oh
see.
boy.
Okay, we can wrap this up, I think.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I shouldn't say last name.
So
What's the
he flashes a pair of titties on his phone to this guy's camera, and I don't know if we want to show those, but so whose titties were those? Why have we never
Some
seen
chick.
those?
Just some chick I've been with at one point.
Yeah. What did you have to trade for the titty picture?
I don't think I did anything. I think I just got them.
Wow, E.
Interesting. That seems like an odd trade.
It seems
Yeah.
like way too much game for E.
Yeah.
Something happened.
So how was the party?
Fun. That was
You
fun.
didn't drive home from there, did
No,
you?
God, no.
So did you stay at a listener's house over the weekend?
I didn't even say to the listeners. I said this was not the listener's house. This was because it was a surprise party. So they took him to it. So I stayed at whoever this guy's house was.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Just left in the morning and went to work.
Did you spank it there?
No,
Really?
no.
Hmm.
Believe it or not.
had to
I
go
had-
to work
I had
afterwards.
summers. Yeah, not great. Not a great situation that next morning, but
Ugh.
what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a good week. I know I hung out with my brother on Saturday too in Ann Arbor, which was fun.
Oh, you were celebrating his graduation.
Yes, I was.
Yeah,
So
did
that
you get
was
nice
fun,
and hammered
too.
from that too.
No, we had a few beers. We didn't really go. It was more just a calm
Graduation from what?
Michigan grad school.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's accomplishing
yes.
things. A
I
Fady
know.
accomplishing things.
I know.
yeah.
He's out there. Hey,
Stark contrast.
wait a minute. I mean, now I'll just tell you that maybe so. But my brother, who, as you said, is accomplishing things.
Are you
Is-
still drunk?
No, is
Okay.
I didn't even really get drunk last night with my brother. I got buzzed, but we didn't really actually.
All right, go on.
But anyway, he is jealous of me because I'm going to be able to get a key to the city. So just, sometimes it's not all about, money and accomplishments.
The key to the city seems like a big deal to a lot of people.
It is.
I've
Mike.
told
Like I had
been
no
a dream of
idea how important. Like Kadog is really looking forward to getting the key to the city. You
so
are
much so he'll jump in a car with E for 19 hours.
yes.
Right.
E's brother seems like
I-
I had no idea.
It's quite an honor, Mike.
I've had
Yes.
as many people I've as many people think that the key to the city, like friends of mine, that think that's more interesting than the Jax thing was.
Really?
Yes. I think it's just something about I think we all
Well,
grown up seeing like
that's
the
all right.
cartoons,
Well,
and
that's all right.
like those, I don't know, people talking about getting the key to the city. Maybe it's just something that's so relatable.
That's really
as opposed to male
astounding.
jack off clubs, I guess. But
Anyway, well, that's coming up too. I can't
Yes,
wait for
sir.
that. June 9th, right?
Yes, sir.
6/9.
Yes, sir.
We should get on with the show. Welcome everybody. The Air Egypt plane that crashed.
Yeah,
it's
what's
still
the prognosis
crashed.
here?
It's
Still crashed.
Yeah, it's not looking good for anybody that was on board that flight. It started. I don't know. Nobody's taking claim for it. Nobody's claimed responsibility. So we have usually ISIS will come out within 5 hours or a day.
Why wouldn't they? Just from ISIS's point of view, like even if it wasn't them, just like, all right, nobody wants it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take
Right?
it. 66 people
Yeah,
in one
screw
shot.
you, screw all of you.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, why not? What do you have to lose? Unless it's proved that you are lying about that. That goes to your credibility.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but the mystery of the crash deepened today, just today, as they following claims that its pilot spoke about an emergency descent aimed at putting out a fire. So it sounds like maybe it was something electrical going on.
Yeah, they're saying smoke detectors were going off at different areas of the plane.
It was initially claimed that Mohammed Said Shukair lost all radio contact while traveling from Paris to Cairo. But according to aviation sources in Paris, he was in fact worried about smoke filling the plane and said he was going to make an emergency landing. I don't know how you would do that when you're over the ocean, but
with smoke filling the cockpit.
There was a conversation several minutes long between the captain and the controllers, which amounted to a distress call. The pilot then initiated a rapid descent aimed at putting out the fire on board and clearing the smoke. Clearing out the smoke. Rapid descents involve dramatic changes in cabin air pressure. Can be extremely dangerous. But the claims about the pilots or the flight's last moments fit in with earlier information. Yeah, it sounds like this thing was at 37,000 feet, and then sharply dropped to 15,000 feet, and then
totally like whipped it one way, then whipped it the other way.
Did like a loop to loop.
Oh, can you imagine just sitting back there?
Yes,
with your tray table stowed.
And that's the spot in the flight when you're 2 hours into a 4-hour flight where you're not necessarily wearing your seatbelt anymore. You know, you're just strolling about the cabin. So yeah, if you got caught in the middle of that, that would be a real problem. They said as it entered Egyptian airspace over the Greek island of Karpathos, the first turn was a sharp 90-degree one to the east, and then there was a full circular loop, like on a roller coaster. A leaked data report also suggests that a fire blazed across the flight deck minutes before disaster, suggesting maybe a catastrophic electronics malfunction. The new info made terrorism seem less likely, although it has still not been ruled out. Friday, the authorities released an audio recording of Captain Shukair's words to Swiss Air Control from around an hour into the planned 4-hour flight. The communication occurred about 2.5 hours before air traffic controllers in Athens lost contact. So at that point, everything seemed to be okay. You know, it's pretty standard.
How old was this plane? Was this one of these planes where it's like, oh yeah, they've been flying it for 25 years? And
you know, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, I haven't either. The pilot was in good spirits, thanked the controller in Greek. Transmissions from the aircraft in the minutes before it was lost revealed that smoke was detected underneath the cockpit and in the toilet. The hunt is now on for the black boxes. But yeah, so I don't know. So what if there's a fire up on the you could make these rapid descents to like put the flames out? Is that what's to be believed?
Maybe to clear some smoke. I have no idea. Pilot listeners, right in.
Yeah, I've never heard anything, but yeah, our pilot listeners.
Evasive techniques that you take to get rid of smoke, get rid of fire. Is that possible?
It must be. It sounds like
you
it's
get the sky
dangerous
waitresses with an extinguisher to go put it out.
Yeah, that seems like an easier way to do it.
They're done waiting on tables, right?
Yeah, and if not, they can stop for a minute. They can take a quick breather, take 5 to go put the fire out. Yeah, seems like.
I'm sorry,
like
you
no
can't
one's gonna fault them
you
for
can't have a quarter Diet Coke right now. I need to go put out a fire.
Yeah.
You'll have to wait.
Like, who's going to be outraged at that? Nobody. And if he is, he's an asshole.
Yeah,
don't worry about him. So I don't know. I guess we're still in the waiting game. I would have thought for 100% certainty that over the weekend this thing would have blown wide open.
Yeah,
although
really.
Body parts are washing up, and yeah, they're in that spot right now where they're finding people and wreckage.
Bloated, no doubt.
I don't know. I didn't see anything about
Pantsless.
bloated.
Pantsless. Any reports about?
I
pantsless?
guarantee some
Yeah.
shoeless ones.
Yeah.
Shoes seem to be like the easiest thing to come off. Anytime you see an accident somewhere, there's going to be a loose shoe in the middle of the road. It's just going to happen.
Does anybody tie their shoes anymore?
I think even when you do tie a shoe, it's coming off for whatever reason. I don't know why that is. Shirts don't seem to leave you. Watches don't take off. Shoes,
They do.
They bail.
I know they do.
they do. You'll always find a loose shoe somewhere in the middle, and then the news crews always do that because they can't show like the
Yeah,
body.
they'll show the shoe sitting in the
They'll zoom in
sidewalk.
on a
Yeah.
Converse All-Star stuck in the middle of the road.
Yeah, they're the most undependable piece of clothing for sure.
Yeah,
The shoe.
outside of a hat. I mean, you could argue that a hat doesn't.
Hat won't even hang in there on a roller coaster. You're exactly right. Very undependable.
But as far as other wear that you would think would have a chance at hanging in there,
No, nothing.
shoes, first to go.
Unless you have them velcroed on like E, right?
That's true.
The
These might
Velcro. Look at those
survive.
sons of bitches. What did this cost you? $4?
10, I think, 15
Nice.
maybe.
Those have lasted a long time too.
I know.
Been sporting those for a while.
Yeah, a few months now, probably at least 4 or 5.
Yeah. Those
I
are
like them.
dorkiest shoes. I know you do. You do like those. I don't know if you guys looked at the Freep over the weekend. Today, Sunday's paper.
Yeah, I saw this story. Eric Kramer, right?
Yeah, Dave Burkett's story about Kramer. Long story too. Fascinating though. Eric Kramer, attempted suicide. What was that, last year?
Yeah, I remember
Almost a year
that when
ago?
it happened. Like, oh shit, it just
Yeah.
shows you, dude. You don't know any of these people,
Yeah, you never
You
know
think,
what's going on.
Eric Kramer, yeah, he was a good quarter. What a nice guy, seemingly,
Yeah,
and could be a nice guy, but struggling with depression for decades.
yeah, yep. And I think anytime you hear of a football player, especially nowadays, you automatically assume like that CTE
Yeah.
or some traumatic brain thing going on.
Doesn't sound like it though. He doesn't report any known concussions.
Yeah, which that maybe so, but I guarantee his
Back
bell
in the,
was
yeah,
rung.
back in the day, they didn't diagnose like they do now, right?
No, they don't. So anyway, they talk about him flying home to California last July after finishing this month-long stay in a.
And by the way,
rehab
if you're not familiar with Eric Kramer, you should have much love for Eric Kramer if you're a Lions fan, because he's the only quarterback to win a playoff game since 1957.
Yeah, and had a hell of a game,
1991 versus the
Dallas.
Cowboys. Yeah,
and then got murdered in the championship game
Yeah,
against
Redskins.
Washington. But
he threw for like 341.
yeah,
He had a really good
3
game.
touchdowns, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, he goes to this rehab facility in Ann Arbor, and we'll give you more details on that in a minute. But and then immediately starts planning his death, which is just crazy. He starts typing out a suicide to-do list.
wow,
It's
that's
just not.
grim.
Yeah. He had to redo his will, tidy up some business ventures. He had to pay bills. Why did you think worry about paying your bills at that
The
point?
last thing on your mind,
Dude,
right?
all these things on this list, like, yeah, that's no longer a concern of mine. It's just not.
That's part of the beauty of what you're about to do.
Yes.
Right? Take
I-
advantage.
The only benefit of it.
is.
Is like, oh yeah, all that shit that I'm responsible
Yeah.
for. No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to even be questioned about this anymore.
Yeah, so he's getting
It's
all
over.
the bad and none of the good.
Right. He's got to pay bills, chores to do around the house.
The honey-do list?
Why
It would be the
are you
last thing on
doing-
my
what is
mind.
he doing? Was he redoing the black, driveway or something? What?
Gotta
Well,
retard this driveway. I've
Man,
been meaning
once I
to do
kill
it for
myself,
years.
my wife is gonna she's gonna.
No,
need
that's
this drive.
respectable because he's probably setting up his family as best he can. Right?
Yeah.
He's trying to take care of shit. So.
He had suicide letters to write to 8 or 10 people. Can't you just do sub paragraphs and just like, this one's for Carl, this part's for Jane,
Yeah.
instead of I mean, that's cool. I guess that's cool. He's writing out eight to
Or
10
just designate
individual
what
letters.
part doesn't apply to Carl.
Yeah,
like,
Carl, stop reading now. You can
right.
pick up in paragraph 4.
That might be, yeah,
I don't know.
best way to do it.
Um,
I've never done one of these, so
You haven't?
I'm not. No.
Yeah. His son, his ex-wife, his sister, and a few friends and some business partners. Oh, and I got to buy a gun. I got to do that too. That's on my to-do
He actually
list.
put that on the list.
Yeah.
Wow, this guy's thorough.
He drove to a gun shop in Simi Valley, California. The guy there is like, yeah, you need a 6 Sauer 9mm. I'm pretty sure he didn't go in and go, yeah, I'm thinking about killing myself. What do you recommend?
Yeah, what do you
You're gonna want the 6 Sauer 9mm.
Oh.
It's top of the line.
Perfect.
I think he just said, I want a handgun. The guy's like, yeah, this one's badass. He filled out the paperwork and waited 10 days to be cleared for the purchase. Finally, with everything checked off his to-do list and a few practice rounds, so he goes to the range
Right.
and fires off a few rounds. He took what it was planned to be his last day on Earth, Tuesday back August 18th, with his son Dylan. They went. They say Dylan was a day away from starting his junior year of high school. Oh, that's just awful. He printed out the suicide notes from his computer, put them in personalized envelopes.
Here's good news for Dylan, though. If this happens, he does get time off school. If Kramer does it 2 weeks before, you're cutting into the summer vacation.
End of the summer vacation. Yeah, that's true.
Look at the bright side, Mike.
I mean, that is really digging to see the bright side in something, but
I mean,
yeah. So he printed the suicide notes from his computer, put them in little envelopes on his desk. He picked up Dylan for lunch and then dropped them at his ex-wife's house. He checked into a second-floor room at the Goodnight Inn in Calabasas, California, and then at like 8 o'clock at night, he tried to kill himself.
All of a sudden, the Goodnight Inn is involved in this. So
Yeah.
Son of a bitch, man.
Yeah.
Now you have this suicide room. You got brain matter all over the ceiling and walls.
It's better than your house where your kids live, though, and your family and friend. Like, you could never walk back into that house. Just be like, oh, yeah, that's where my dad did that.
I just feel so, I don't know.
Now you got to avoid the Goodnight Inn, and
Yeah.
it sucks for them, but they'll get over it. It's better than your family having to deal with it.
I guess.
I think I may have gone to eat dinner somewhere and then came back. I don't know what time, but sort of took the gun, crawled into bed, and pulled the trigger. The bullet traveled through his chin, left a hole in his tongue, went up through his sinus cavities and out the top of his head.
Those people
Incredible.
that fail.
God,
Yeah.
you'd never think that would fail, though, right?
No.
Just donk.
Well, we've heard this one to the
Yeah.
temple, where you can just basically, if you don't do it right, you'll just blow your eyeballs out.
Yeah.
And this one, you run the risk of doing what Eric Kramer did and just kind of blow it
It
right through the
seems
top
like
of your
you could-
head.
Like, it just seems like if you wanted to kill yourself, you could do it. I just can't believe you couldn't you get a bigger. I mean, why not buy a shotgun? Why not buy I know. I'm just saying, like,
This is a 1 in a million fail. It really is.
I know,
my
but
God,
still.
So he spent most of the past 9 months in 2 California hospitals where he underwent surgery to repair his tongue, replace a chunk of his skull, and 2 brain rehab clinics before returning home just last month. He's back living a normal life that includes golfing, driving, dating. Most important, he said the suicidal thoughts have subsided completely.
Good.
I don't know, man. That seems like a very relatively short time to get through all this to be like, no, I'm good now.
Well, presumably he's had counseling and therapy and shit.
Sure.
No mention of that?
No, I think, but I would think that's pretty extreme
Yeah.
to be like, oh yeah, I'm out of the hospital for a month, but we're good now.
Yeah, all right.
When the Lions signed Kramer as a free agent, he was a little more than a footnote. What people don't know about him, and I didn't remember that he was a scab player.
Yeah.
Do you remember that in
I do.
that 87 season?
I don't
didn't
remember him at that time, but I remember that being mentioned when he hooked up with the Lions.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
And when he hooked up, Rodney Peete and Andre Ware was about to get drafted, maybe?
Ware was about to be drafted, and the Lions had
Pete. Yeah.
And so this guy was like Canadian Football League,
Right.
coming off an injury,
Whatever.
scab player, whatever. But then he was a
He was just solid, man.
yeah,
For
exactly.
several years, just solid. And then he left the Lions and signed with the Bears, a pretty big contract, and did fairly well for a while, I think.
Yeah, it was a big contract, $8 million
Yeah.
deal, and he had his best year of his career 1 year with those Bears, 95 maybe. Was that after? Was he
After
right after
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh, yeah, he took over for Jim Harbaugh. He says that game, the NFC Championship, the Cowboy win is the proudest moment in his NFL career. Should be.
Yeah, definitely.
As you said, 341. He threw 4 and 3 TDs. It wasn't long after Kramer's breakout 91 season that he remembered having suicidal thoughts. Wow. Back in 91. So he'd signed with the Bears in 94 to replace Harbaugh as starter, but separated his shoulder. I think it was a fall from grace that first brought on depression. He started taking antidepressants around that time, was off and on those for 10 to 15 years. Kramer said he was never diagnosed with a concussion from his playing or college days, and wrestles with how much that had to do with it. But I don't know. I still think those guys were taking major hits back then.
So he leaves and they signed Mitchell. Is that how it went? Was it immediate? Or
Well,
did they
Mitchell was here
Don
in-
Mikowski and shit? Didn't they had
Maybe
him for
the
a
Magic
couple years?
Man, yeah, from the Packers.
And what's his name? Dave Craig, right? Or was he after Mitchell?
Oh God, dude, that's right in that window.
Yeah.
Craig would have been older coming out of those
Oh,
all
yeah.
those years with Seattle
Seattle.
and Steve Largent.
He did well with the Lions though for a little bit. Like when they first signed him, I'm like, oh, okay, this
Yeah.
guy's done. But he had some good moments.
Well, what's his name got here in 95 and had that huge year, right?
I would think someone with a Google machine would be able to just snap off Lions quarterbacks in the 90s.
Yeah.
We'll have the answer momentarily. I mean, we can continue to speculate, but I'm sure that we're going to have the exact answer in just a moment.
Right. Didn't Mitchell get here in 95 though? Wasn't that his big?
Yeah. So we go from 89, 90, Rodney Peete, Bob Gagliano, Andre Ware. Eric Hipple was hanging on in 89. We then in 92 have Rodney Peete, Eric Kramer, Andre Ware. Same thing the next year. Then we go Scott Mitchell, Dave Craig.
Okay.
And then in 95, 96, we go Scott Mitchell, Don Mikowski. And then 97, Scott Mitchell. Then we go into the Charlie Batch days and Frank Reich and Scott Mitchell.
And Scott Mitchell, Charlie Batch, Gus
Oh,
Frerotte.
my God. And then Stoney Case the following year in 2000. Oh, and then, of course, 2001, Charlie Batch, Ty Detmer, Mike McMahon.
Ooh.
Didn't Ty Detmer have a 7-interception game?
Yes. Yes.
Fuck.
And that leads us right into the glorious Joey Harrington, Mike McMahon.
And then you all know the story after that.
Yeah.
No need to review.
We had a brief run there. Harrington, Jeff Garcia and then John Kitna.
Yep.
God, look how desperate they're trying. All right, bring in Kitna. Fuck it.
Yeah.
All right, Dante Culpepper, Kitna. How about that? Can we make that work? And then you get Stafford, Culpepper, Stanton, Sean Hill. I like Sean Hill a lot.
Yeah. There were some grim years there.
Oh, yeah. So Kramer says
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Rusty Hilger.
Rusty Hilger?
Yeah,
why don't I even remember Rusty Hilger?
Yeah, 88. He was with Chuck Long for a year.
Okay. I remember
who can forget the Eric
Danielson,
Hipple, Joe
Hipple.
Ferguson, and Chuck Long years?
Sure.
I mean,
great years. Yeah, coming out right out of the Eric Hipple era.
Yeah. Well, he and Hipple end up being friends, right? Eric Kramer and Hipple?
Yes. So Kramer says that he doesn't think it was like concussions or football related that led to the depression.
Probably not.
His son Griffin died of a heroin overdose in October of 2011. His mom Eileen passed away of cancer. His dad Carl was terminally ill with cancer at the time.
You're kidding.
No, I wouldn't joke about that, Paul. At the time of his suicide attempt and died weeks later. God, your dad's on his deathbed, and that's when you decide to take yourself out.
Yeah, really.
That's brutal. His dad ended up dying a couple weeks later. He went through a difficult breakup with his girlfriend in 2014, and his relationship with his son Dylan was fraying. Last June, with his depression bottoming out and thoughts of suicide paralyzing his brain, he reached out to a handful of friends, Eric Hipple and Dr. Bryce Lefevre. Kramer had worked with Hipple, they say, in training Navy special warfare personnel in mental fitness program, which is what brings him to Ann Arbor. I guess he called and was like, dude, I'm in trouble here. And so they're like, okay, let's get you on a plane, get you to Michigan, put you in this rehab facility in Ann Arbor. And so Eric Hipple says when he came out, he was immobile. He had a total lack of emotion, no joy, no feeling, just felt out of place completely. No energy, no appetite. Classic symptoms of clinical depression that with him.
Eric, do you need a hug?
He did. While Kramer showed some progress, he knew a few days into his treatment that the program wasn't right for him. The things that I felt I needed were not being addressed. So Kramer said his suicide notes, which remain unseen by family. Would you want to read those?
No.
No?
Given that he lived? No. Would you?
Well, depends who it's from. If it was from a friend, yes. Yes. If it's from like a family member.
Wait, he lives.
No, I know. But I want to see what he was going to say to me.
How much you meant?
Yeah.
It'd tell you, how much you have to invest in this going forward.
Yeah. I mean, if it's just like.
Son of a bitch didn't even leave me,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Left me out of everything. Or if it's just like, hey, dude, it was, it's cool knowing you.
Yeah.
See ya. It's like, oh, okay.
Or if it's like a final fuck off.
Yeah. You really
I never
fucked
really
me on
liked
that
you
one.
anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's never been seen by family or friends. It's in the notes are in the possession of the LA County Sheriff's Department. They were just instructional letters, really letting people know what to do with a little bit of life advice and an explanation of his mental state for his son, Dylan. Oh, that's so brutal. As for the attempt itself, Kramer doesn't remember much about that, nor the ensuing weeks, though he did send text messages from his hotel room to his sister and close friend Chris German that were odd enough to arouse suspicions. Boy, I wonder what those texts said, if they're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Kelly called Hipple in a panic the night of the suicide attempt after receiving Kramer's text. It was going through my mind how much I was going to miss Dylan and my sister and her kids. But at the same time, I was in a state sort of maybe depression or some sort of pain where I was also looking forward to not having to deal with some of the pain. Yeah. Kramer said he has a vague recollection of traveling by ambulance to the medical center. I'm told I was talking and polite with the ambulance driver and all that. As badly as he was injured by the gunshot, he jokes now that he was saved for one reason. I'm a bad shot. I mean, that's really the only go-to joke you could use from that, right? I mean, what else can you? I mean, if you're going to take some humor from a terrible situation,
or it could be, if not, it's going to be even more depressing. I couldn't even kill myself good.
Yeah. I think some people do think like that. Yeah. I even failed at that. That's one of the things that came out of it is I'm not even a very good shot at point blank range. Kramer did suffer a traumatic brain injury in the incident and was medically induced coma for much of the 6 or so weeks he spent at Northridge. Doctors removed what Kramer estimates as the front quarter of the left side of his skull during his time at Northridge. And earlier this year, he had a mold of his head made, and then he underwent a cranioplasty.
So the medial oblongata was intact.
Yes,
good
for all intents and
Thank
purposes.
God.
So they plated it. So they put a plate in there. That procedure, along with one to sew his tongue back together, are the only two surgeries that Kramer remembers.
What a mess, man.
And then he went to UCLA for a few weeks before rehabbing at 2 separate brain trauma clinics. He spent 4.5 months at the Center for Neuroskills in Encino, California, where he lived in one of the group homes and received some counseling for depression. He received a surprise video montage from 25 former Lions players, wishing him well. He also reconnected with a handful of ex-teammates who shared stories of their struggles. It meant a lot to me. Here I am, though. I'm still alive. And so for me, this was the biggest positive thing of somebody coming to the realization that life is worth living and maybe take steps to recover, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, really. I mean, how do you look at that, right? You have to be like, okay,
yeah,
this is like a second lease on life. I'm here for a reason.
Yeah. Well, Kramer says that he doesn't take any meds for his depression and he isn't seeing a psychologist, though he's about to resume therapy through CNS. That's a little weird, don't you think? That just sounds weird to me, that coming out of that crazy an event that
you pulled the trigger, man.
Yeah. Like you didn't think it, like a lot of us have thought about it. You pulled the trigger, like you went, and it wasn't just like a quick snap decision.
You
like
prepared and then you pulled the trigger.
You went and waited out a fucking gun list for 10 days to get cleared to buy. Didn't redo it in that 10 days. Went and practiced shooting at the range. Typed letters out. Yeah, that's deep, man. He does have one minor physical impairment left from the incident. The gunshot shifted his teeth.
Ooh.
That doesn't sound minor at all.
1 inch to the left, everything? What?
Like when Daffy Duck would take the gun and shift his whole beak? Yeah.
Well, you can just move it back, right?
Well, I guess it's not that easy in real life. Now that they've had a chance to settle, he's scheduled to undergo oral surgery in July to realign his lower bite. That involves breaking a bone in his mouth and pushing up his teeth.
Oh, what a mess, man.
That is brutal. Oh, poor guy.
All the shit he's going through to repair that. Oh.
Yeah. Doesn't that sound awful, though?
It does sound awful. Hey, I had the pleasure of meeting one of his former teammates, though, on Friday.
Did you?
Herman Moore. I'd never met him.
Yeah, I saw you tweeted that.
He's a slick dude, man.
You've met Herman Moore?
Well, briefly. I've never spoken with him, though.
In his playing days?
Yeah.
Are you sure you've never spoken with him?
I've never really spoken with him. Like said hello, whatever. But he's a sharp guy, man. He's total businessman, serious dude. I mean,
where'd you run into him?
I was at a fundraiser thing.
Yeah.
And he just, he talked about what he's doing now and what, how he, how his preparation in his playing days prepared him to be a careful businessman. He owned all those Cinnabons.
That's right.
Remember that? He's out of that now. He's in some software thing now. Yeah. But interesting dude. Totally sharp guy. I mean, he's one of these former athletes I think you can truly look at and go, okay, that's a guy to be admired. I mean, he's doing good work.
God, he was a hell of a player too.
Yeah.
And run out of town in the worst possible way.
He talked a little bit about that.
Did he? That had to be brutal for him. That whole Millen morning way shit.
He was classy about it.
As
I'm sure, you would assume he would be, but Yeah, he talked about then going to the Giants. He latched on with the Giants, and he earned a starting.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he earned a starting role with them in the preseason, and he was set to start. And he went to the coach and just said, "I don't have the passion to do this." And so he just
kind of
hung him
man.
up.
That's a man move.
Yeah,
Instead of
hung
just
him up.
collecting a paycheck and mailing it in.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the.
That was
Wasn't-
Millen trying to look tough. Those were in the days where they were taking off on their motorcycles.
Yeah.
Nobody messes with us. We're Millen and Morningweg.
Yeah, what was he not happy with what he was seeing at practice? So he just blew off reporters and hopped on their hogs, the
Yeah.
coach and the GM, and took off.
But it was totally set up. The press, who are always there during the day, they totally said, "Oh yeah, these guys set this up."
Yeah.
They never had their hogs like in this one spot. They pulled them up and like left them there, and then they're like, "This is bullshit. You guys got to do a better job." And they jumped on and took off.
God, how
Everybody's
weird.
like, But yeah, you remember it was on. It was being filmed while Millen was telling Herman that he was basically being cut. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was just classless, man.
Yeah, it was like,
I mean, you could see the look on Herman's face. I mean, just the disappointment. Like, really?
wasn't he saying like, "Where's Herman? Where is Herman? Where is Herman?" I just remember him something like looking around all cocky, and I can't remember
remember
exactly, but yeah, there was something really odd about that press conference, that whole thing. God, what a douchebag. Not Herman, but
Morningweg.
Millen and Morningweg.
The bar is high.
Yeah.
Dude, I knew at the first press conference, I'm like, oh no, this guy is going to be a piece of work.
With
man.
Marty?
Marty.
Yeah.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah. Terrible. Speaking of suicide by lion, not to play off the Eric Kramer story, but a dude tried to commit suicide by actual lion.
Like lions eating him.
Yeah. Guy stripped naked at a Chilean zoo. And
Things always happen at Chilean zoos.
yeah. He entered a lion enclosure and he survived, but then they killed the lions. What kind of bullshit is that?
So he decides he's going to jump in to commit suicide. He jumps in. Lions do what they naturally do.
Yeah.
And then they kill the lions.
Yes.
That ain't right, man.
They confirmed that 2 African lions were put down as they severely mauled this 20-year-old man who had broken into the cage over the weekend.
Oh, shit. But what do you
Yeah.
expect them to do?
Yeah. It's exactly what I would expect them to
The
do.
one's going for his junk, isn't he? The
The
female?
female, yeah. She looks like she's maybe between his legs.
Like maybe she's done that before.
And the other one looks like he's going to pick him up by the neck like they do with their cubs. Franco Roman was taken to a hospital. He's said to be in grave condition.
Oh, look at that. Look at it. He's baby babooning him. If you're wondering what position it is, it's what a baby baboon does to his mom.
Yes.
But he's doing it to a male lion.
Yes, while grabbing a hold of the mane.
I'm not sure that's the best move if a lion's attacking you.
What's the play, though?
You baby baboon him?
I
You
mean,
don't baby baboon him. Your head's gone in a snap, man.
yeah. Oh, that poor poops gets taken down because of that.
Dude, he's got his legs wrapped around him.
I wonder how soon he realized, oh man, big mistake. This is not the
right.
best way to go out. So he's said to be in grave condition. Whenever they say grave condition, that doesn't sound good.
Grave is way worse than critical, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's like, yeah.
I think you'd rather be in critical. Grave means like
he
you're
has no
hanging on.
face. His intestines are out of his body. It's grave.
When I
it's only
think
a matter of time.
Grave condition is one of those where your family's going, nah, just put him down. Like if you come out of grave condition, you're not going to be in any sort of condition to be viewed by the outside world anymore, would be my thought. So you're better off just going on to the next place.
You're in condition to be placed in a grave.
Right. The young man broke into the enclosure, took off his clothes, which is an interesting play, and then jumped into the middle of this pen, horrifying visitors. He's there on a Saturday afternoon at the zoo.
God damn it.
So horrifying other visitors, they say, who were watching this attack in horror. Once inside, the lions reportedly pounced on him and began to, quote, play with him. I bet they did. Yeah, that's what they do. At this point, zookeepers intervened in the attack and shot the 2 lions in order to save his life. That's bullshit, man.
Should have shot his ass.
Exactly. The park was crowded, they said, with visitors at the time of the incident. The zoo director said she was deeply affected by the deaths of the 2 lions, a male and a female. doesn't surprise me that she would be deeply affected. If you know anything about animal lovers, zoo workers,
Yeah.
they'll be more affected by the loss of an animal's life than a human life, especially a dipshit human's life.
Wasn't there something that happened, I don't know, maybe a month ago, a woman mauled by a tiger, but she was one of the keepers.
Yeah.
I think they like labeled her like the tiger whisperer or something. She was really great with them, and tiger went tiger, as Chris Rock would say.
Yep.
But yeah, that's just, dude, you got to respect these beasts, man.
Yeah. The zoo, they say the zoo has an established protocol because people's lives are very important to us. She added there were no fast-acting tranquilizers available to stop the lions from mauling the man. One witness said that security personnel at the zoo were slow to react and that the animals did not attack the man as soon as he entered the enclosure. She also said the man was shouting things about Jesus. So he was going on about Jesus. A father who was at the park with his young son said everyone started screaming when they saw him. There were a lot of children there, and parents were just covering their eyes as it was going on. Yeah, what do you do if you and Sweet Pie are at the zoo that day?
Yeah, you
what
turn
do we
around
do?
and you walk very quickly the other way. Brisk, I would say.
You want to brisk?
We're hitting the penguin house.
Now you don't want to freak her out. So you don't want to get into sprint. You don't want to be going
Want to stay calm. You want to stay calm.
Calm, but we're in a brisk movement.
We're
at this point.
briskly walking away.
Okay, good. You've got a hand. You've got tightly squeezing the hand.
We might be earmuffing too at that point because
Really?
there's going to be screams of terror.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the terror screams.
Yeah.
I would imagine those might wake a child in the night down the road.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, what a dick, man. You know, it's like, how many lives have you now affected? Killed 2 lions in the process of getting your ass gravely injured, and how many spectators are scarred for life?
Another guy says he was screaming religious things. There was a suicide note found inside the clothes that he was wearing that he took off, made allusions to the apocalypse as being the reason for his attempt to take his life. The apocalypse is coming. He suffered several injuries, trauma to the head and pelvic area.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good, man.
Look at that baby baboon.
And he went full Monty too. When they say he took his clothes off, I mean he's full on. He is. God, of all the ways to go out, did you just want headlines at that point? It must be something about wanting headlines.
Very sick human being at that point.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of animals being hurt or killed, the Preakness over the weekend.
Oh, 2 of them, right? 2 went down in races before the final, which of course featured Nyquist going for the second piece of the crown.
Yeah, and losing.
Yeah.
Tragic scenes, though. The winner of the first race died on his walk back to the barn.
He's an old horse, though, wasn't he?
Like 8? Oh. How old is that? I mean, that's
way back.
Yeah, he wins. They give him his roses and shit, and he's walking back to his barn, like high-fiving his bros.
Some strenuous shit they just put him through.
I know. And then he collapsed and died. And another had to be euthanized after a fall. Homeboy Chris came from behind to win the race.
His name, Homeboy Chris.
Homeboy Chris.
I love horse names, man.
I did
It's so
best.
much fun to name horses.
Yeah.
It'd be like naming new beers, you know?
Yeah, you've seen the famous one with Hoof Hearted.
No.
Pull up the audio of Hoof Hearted.
I think maybe you played this a couple years ago.
Maybe. Could all go find it. Who won? I think he won his race back in the day. Anyway, this guy, Homeboy Chris, came from behind to win the race by half a length, but yeah, here's Hoof Hearted.
Extreme outside. Colorado Co-ed. Toast a dozen on the inside. Questions jet. Who farted? Who farted on the outside? It's close. Who farted in the winner's circle?
Now there's a question best left unanswered.
There you go. Hoof Hearted. Who farted?
Nice.
Yeah, he won. Great young horse. So Homeboy Chris came from behind and went for the win, and then as he was having his victory picture taken in the winner's circle, he collapsed and died.
Oh, when he's got the roses around his neck and all that
assuming.
shit. Ah, poor
Yeah.
guy.
At least he went out on top, though, I guess.
Yeah. Promedia? Is that the 4-year-old? Promedia? Promedia? Another one of the
Sounds
horses.
like an STD.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Chlamydia.
it does.
He collapsed in turn 4 of race 4 and had to be euthanized on the course.
He's got AIDS.
I didn't give him those AIDS. Yeah, that's one of those where the horse collapses, like rolls an ankle.
Is that what it was? Broken ankle?
Yeah, those are the worst, man. And then they got to just like go out there with a shotgun and put him down, which
Shotgun.
They put like a tent up around
in
them
front of 120,000 people.
Yes, they have, and they do, and I just imagine
They
the
really
horse.
do. They put a tent around them and they just.
Sometimes they do.
Why
Yeah,
can't they just?
I think they use needles
Okay,
now,
I was
but
gonna say.
but back in the day, I think they would just go out there with a shotgun and boom right between the eyes. But yeah, they'd put a tent up so that
Well, at least
people
we got
wouldn't
our
see it.
entertainment, right? These humans
Yeah.
were properly entertained
Sure.
that day, and so it's all worth it.
I swear the horse is just going, let me walk it off. Give me a second. I can walk this off.
We've
Instead of
talked about
walking
this.
up with
What is the reasoning again? Why can't you cast these sons of bitches?
I think, well, they try with the one. I think it has something to do with the flow, their circulation,
Yeah.
and they have to be up on their hands.
That's right.
And so by bracing it, they don't get the circulation they need, and
Yeah, I
then it's
think
just
you're
a
right.
problem. Something like that. But you'd figure there's something else they could do. We've just reserved to take these.
Try
these
amputation. I don't know. Right?
Give him a.
Don't even
fake
try to
one.
heal the shit. Yeah, amputate and then put on a prosthetic.
Something.
A peg leg.
Yeah, it's worth a try.
Right.
Sure, he'd be.
You
up for
owe it to
giving
the
a
man,
try.
the young athlete.
Yes. Imagine if we did that to our young star athletes every time they twist an ankle, we just put a bullet in their head. It's awful.
No, it is amazing. I actually caught the Preakness this year. Oftentimes I just, catch the highlight or whatever, but we watched the lead up and watch the race. Man, what an amazing beast, dude. And they just, they want to go, they want to do this. Those freaking, and dude, it's just, to me, man, you're just stapling a jockey on the back.
Oh yeah.
Those sons
Yeah,
of
yeah,
bitches are just
along for the ride, passengers, as we've always said. So, okay, why can't you put a cast on a horse's leg instead of killing it if it breaks its legs? Two reasons, really. And what are we on here? A Reddit. We're on a Reddit thread. So God knows what they'll say. One, the cost. Most animals are less valuable than the cost of treatment.
Oh, that wouldn't apply for these guys.
No, it wouldn't. Number two, the problem is because their bones have become lighter. They're very strong to carry their weight, yet they're light for them to be able to get so fast. So unfortunately, sometimes when they break, they just shatter. When that happens, it's not possible to repair the bone. And not just because it is now in lots of little pieces that won't heal together. Another issue is they call plastic deformation, meaning that the bone bends before it breaks and it's the best shape that is preserved in the piece. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
I seem to remember it being something about circulation, and they
Yeah.
can't just lay them down.
So you can't have it chill and rest and heal the bone for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Is the problem. They did try it with that one champion horse, remember? And they had
Yeah,
him,
was
like,
it Barbaro?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Was he going for the Triple Crown? God, this
They
is
could not
totally-
have.
But they put him in some sort of cast.
Yeah, they tried to
but
save him.
He
And
was
then
like a
they-
hero of the nation
They ended up
for a
putting
few
him
weeks.
down, though, yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't end up making it.
But dude, as you mentioned, Nyquist came up short, man.
Yeah.
Slow track, muddy as hell.
Yeah, they were calling for 100% rain and thunderstorms, which they got.
I like watching it when it's muddy, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of fun just seeing all that mud all over those little tiny jockey dudes and everything. You see how they had, some of them had, or maybe all of them do, two goggles. So like, I think they're like putting one up maybe halfway when they can't see anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I noticed them put one down and then another one over.
Huh.
Is that possible?
Sure.
That in the middle of that race, or
Yeah, I guess. I would think they wouldn't want them whipping them off.
Right.
Hit the guy behind you. But
no, it's probably attached to the back of their little tiny wee helmets.
oh yeah,
You
you
know?
could staple that onto your
Yeah.
helmet. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel about these horse races. I guess it's better than bullfighting,
Yeah.
but you wonder how many of those horses would want to do that.
Oh, dude, I look at them, man. They look like they want to. They're born to do it. They're bred to do it. Literally.
Yeah.
Those guys look like young athletes who want to run. To me,
Yeah, they're unbelievable, no doubt about it.
if
but-
you take the broken leg shit out of it and having to euthanize like
On the spot.
yeah, if you take
Yeah.
that out of it, it's like, would you care? I mean, would you feel
no,
differently about
no, I wouldn't. I guess it's the
the suddenness of like,
it's
oh
the-
my god, this thing is
yeah.
just broke a leg and we have to kill it.
It's like, it's not like bullfighting, obviously, where you've got this wounded beast. Just because I so respect these animals that are just, they're majestic. They're majestic beasts. These bulls, these horses, these tigers and lions. I mean, they're just amazing creatures. And to see them put in unnatural positions for them, where it's like all of a sudden you've stapled a midget onto its back and you've just got him whipping
You're
around a
whipping it.
track, and then you're putting Rosa on like he knows he's won something, and it's a big proud moment for him.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, and then for the rest of his life, you just jack him off
Yeah.
round the clock.
This is not a bad life.
I know, but I'm sure for him, he's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about your little race around the track and your goofy hats, man.
I don't know.
I want to eat grass.
They look
go
like
for
they
a
like
light
it.
jog.
To me, they look like they like it. Honestly, maybe I'm just trying to make myself feel better when I watch it, but I really think that they look like they're born and ready to do that.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're there for, man.
Yeah. Maybe so, but it just seems, when you got some asshole with a microphone riding up next to him and they're just sitting there with blinders on because they get spooked. It's like I just picture they'd rather be in a field, running free, grazing on some shit.
They will be. Give them a few more weeks. They'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Hey, do you need a bigger closet or porch to store your shoes? Call Krista Jelski of Remax Suburban, and she will find you exactly what you're looking for. And as a gift to TDC listeners, Krista will provide you a new pair of shoes on closing day. Check out Krista's website at kristasellshouses.com or call her anytime at 586-918-0900.
Should we take a quick break?
Sure.
Oh, I got to tell you about this girl that died during field day.
We all remember field day. Is that just in elementary school or is that in middle school?
I think
as
it's
well?
elementary only.
Yeah.
I remember
Like
it
fourth
elementary.
and fifth grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll run down our list of accomplishments during field day, see how we all stack up compared to this girl. We obviously did better than her.
Yeah, we made it out of field day.
Yeah, we survived field day where she didn't. And also The Biggest Loser. I don't know if you like that show.
I've watched that quite a bit. Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
I think I did the first season, but
It's known as the fat show in our house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise
Yeah,
me.
what was it? Someone's fat shaming. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
Can we watch the fat show tonight, Mom?
Who says that? Which one of
The
your
one that was
slaves
shaming.
says that?
All three of them have said that. That's been uttered by all three. Can we watch the fat show?
Of course.
Yes, absolutely we can.
Oh, God. So we'll get into that more next.
The Detroit Cast continues after this short break.
Hey, it's Steve Gabarra, the general manager at Zott Ford and Holly. We're closer than you think, and we have deals that do not stink. Zott Ford at I-75 and exit 98 is the only place you can lease the all-new 2016 Ford F-150 Super Crew four-wheel drive for $188 a month. That's correct. Zott Ford has F-150 Super Crews for just $188 per month. Check out our obnoxious deals and massive inventory at ZottFord.com. That's SZOTT.
The Detroit Cast continues now, bitches. Here's Mike and Jay.
I screamed, but nobody heard me.
Heard me. Heard me. Nobody heard me. Yeah, Hazel Label.
Well, the dirt face, of course, was real scary.
Love that woman.
Love her.
Probably never talk to her again, but
Somebody bagging on me on Wave about my love for Hazel.
why?
I don't know. Just they think it's a little over the top. I agree. I poured it on a bit thick. Come on, man. Why can't I love an old lady?
Yeah, I thought I saw someone on the Wave bitching too that we
It was a good thing she didn't pick up. That was the thing.
which is such bullshit.
Oh.
And you're lying. You are a liar, sir. If you think for 1 second that anyone believes you and you're like, oh, I'm glad she didn't answer the phone.
They
Bullshit.
put me down in the floor, and then one of them sat on me.
You admit it, sir. You wanted to hear Hazel Label. Hazel Label.
Well, it was a lot of information that I hadn't had.
I hadn't.
Had. Anyway.
What do we got, Mike? By the way, it sounds like Frankenmuth was the place to be this weekend.
Yes. You were there, what, last
I was there
weekend?
last weekend. What was I thinking, Mike?
I don't know. Well, you were thinking of your kids.
Yeah, I was
Instead
thinking of all the
of,
shit I had going on this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was just you and Gab
Right.
that were up there. Yeah. What was it? Beer Fest this
It was
weekend?
Beer Fest. I think I'm gonna have to get that on the calendar for next year.
Sounds like we had a little bit of support out there from some listeners.
My sister was out there, and Mongoloid Aaron Rodgers on show.
Mongoloid Aaron Rodgers in the house.
I'm almost shocked that we didn't, with three, sounds like you said, a few listeners. I'm almost shocked someone didn't see a guy that looks just like Aaron Rodgers and realize that was my sister.
The Mongoloid version.
But she made it through.
Yeah, if you look closely, you go, that's Mongoloid Aaron Rodgers. You should be able to pick that out. And then if you look at who's with her,
yeah, you'd see
you
a female version of E.
You'd see
that grill,
just enough of Big E in the sister to
those
go,
beady
"That's-
little eyes.
I know.
I don't like him, his giant head, or his beady little eyes.
Yeah, that's cool though. Before we went into break, we had mentioned the field day, and unfortunate story happened at field day at a school in Alabama, as a 13-year-old girl died during tug of war. I don't remember tug of war.
Oh, you don't remember tug of war?
I remember tug of war. I remember tug of war at field. Well, I guess I do remember it at field day. Actually,
That's where it was, man.
Yeah, it is.
It was either at a church camp or field day.
Yeah.
That's where you did tugs of war.
That's true. One parent was claiming that the girl allegedly wasn't able to get water, which I'm going to declare is bullshit. That there's no way there's a school function and they're going to deny the children water.
Right.
I don't buy that for a second. Sixth grader Madison Wentworth.
Well, Madison.
She was playing at Williams.
Cupcake. Have fun at field day.
Have a great field day this year. You failed last year, and we want to do better this time, Ms. Wentworth. So she was at the Williams Intermediate School on Thursday when she collapsed. School nurses and coaches immediately began performing the CPR to no avail. Emergency services were called. They brought her to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. It is with great sadness that we report the loss of one of our precious sixth grade students. What,
thoughts and prayers and all that shit?
Yes.
Dude, so this was like
the student's family.
This was like an overheating situation?
I guess.
Yeah.
Seems weird at that age, though.
At this time of year, too.
Yeah.
How hot was it?
76. 13 years old playing a little tug of war in 76.
You're not 100.
That's true. It wasn't 100 out. So
seriously, you
should've
can't
been
hold
fine.
on. Maybe it's just better it ended this way because you got a lot of life in front of you. You got a lot of situations. You can make it through a tug of war at 76 degrees.
At 13 years old?
Come on.
It seems unbelievable. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the student's family and all that shit. Again, I don't know why that is so irritating to me. It just is. I think my problem, Jay, I've resolved.
Her heart couldn't take it.
Well,
how old is she?
13.
Yeah.
Child. Thoughts and prayers from the school. It's kind of like, here's, because I know you're like, dude, whatever. Thoughts and prayers. Throw it out there. Let it go. You've done your part. You've said what needs to be said. To me, it's so insincere of a gesture. It's right up there with your disdain for God bless you at a sneeze.
The sneeze, yeah. It's almost meaningless.
The sneeze, God bless you, irritates you when I could just as easily go, dude, whatever. God bless you, and you move on with your day. It's just what we do. But no, it
stops
so
me in my
du-
tracks.
It should. And thoughts and prayers stops me because what's like it's getting to the point where it's just going to be TP and all that shit to the family. TNP. Like is it so much like even if they said this is tragic, we want the family to know that they are in our thoughts tonight for sure. We will be sending out prayers and all that, but it's just like thoughts and prayers and all that. It's
right,
just like
personalize it a little bit.
A little
You
bit.
know, Amanda was an
something.
amazing girl.
She was an amazing girl. She sucked at tug of
wasn't very
war.
good at tug of war.
She really struggled with the tug of war.
Did not like the heat.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean she's not going to be in our thoughts. She's definitely in my thoughts as I speak right now.
We'll remember her fondly.
Yes, she will definitely, and I would encourage you, the rest of you, to keep her in your prayers this evening.
Because she was an
We'll
inspiration.
have a problem
to all.
with that. Okay, she's an inspiration to all. Well,
Not in the tug of war context.
right. That's a bad example. But when you just lump thoughts and prayers, it's bless you.
Yeah.
It is, and I hate that. It
It's like
drives me
it's
nuts.
almost a slap in the face now. It's like that's all you have to say about my beautiful daughter.
Yeah,
who
thoughts and prayers and all
attended
that
your
shit.
institution.
At that age in the school, all you can give her is a gratuitous thoughts and
Gratuitous.
prayers. It's cheap.
Cheap.
It's cheap.
Agreed.
Her mother Leslie said her daughter was a beautiful kid that was going places. Now I don't.
How do you know?
Right?
At 13, I'm sorry. There's a lot of people at 13 that could go either way.
I would say
Kind of at a crossroad.
13 is
Fork in the road.
Right.
13 and judging by
You know what? It's not inaccurate to
She
say
wasn't
she was
going to,
going places.
well, yeah.
I can tell you she wasn't going to supermodel school.
Yeah. She wasn't going to the gym much.
Well, this is the direct to hell moment for the Detroit cast. We're actually playing out live right now.
Heading to the chip aisle.
Look at
frequently,
it, poor poops.
She wasn't going to the Miss Universe pageant anytime soon.
Oh, look at her.
You're
She's
a dick,
She's
man.
adorable with her little kitty. Poor thing.
True, though.
Poor girl. No, that does seem like a defining age. So 13 is one of those ages where it can go off the rails quick. Like I was one of those kids that if you would have seen me up until 13, I was
and narrow. He was a good kid.
straight and narrow.
And all of a sudden,
grades were solid. Like if I expired on the tug of war field at 13, you could have absolutely said this kid is going places.
you would, yeah.
But it would have been inaccurate. It would have been
Great
very, very
future.
inaccurate.
Oh, there's a great future for this young man. We'll never know what he could have been.
Yeah. The potential was there at this early stage. We've seen some potential, not knowing that it would all go off the rails critically in a matter of almost no time at all.
Oh.
And then you wind up where we are today. So, I'm not going to rag on the mom for saying that, but she was excited about field day. She had $10 burned in a hole in her pocket to spend. Yeah, I don't remember spending money at field day.
Oh.
Is it a racket now? Is field day a racket now?
I don't know.
Are they selling shit at field day? A student on the opposite tug of war team. So obviously now we're talking about competition. Said that they were only allowed to have water if they went to the restroom or bought it. She told me they were only allowed to get water if they went to the restroom. So her mom was saying that they weren't giving these children water. Now this is competition saying this. The Pell City Police spokesperson, Don Newton, said field day had cooling stations. There was water available. This is the story now. Like, are we on the line here for something? Are we going to be sued because some shithead told their mom that, they wouldn't give us water? Parents on Facebook have disputed the claim that Madison was not allowed to have water. Some insist they gave her water prior to tug of war. She was fully hydrated. I was there. I was beside the child when it all happened. She had water. I gave her a bottle before the tug of war even started. She said students were allowed to get water from a fountain. As a parent who was there for field day, they were allowed to get water from the water fountain. Enough about the water. We get it. Okay, one asshole said you couldn't have water. 100 of you have leapt on this to go, no, there was plenty of aqua. Plenty of agua there. H2O, plentiful amounts. A GoFundMe has been started, of course, to take care of funeral costs.
So who won?
I'm assuming her team lost. You can't take how many members do you have on a tug of war squad? 5?
Get rid
And
of
I'm
some
assuming
dead
that's
weight.
the anchor, right?
Yeah, she's the one with it tied around her waist.
Yeah.
Pulling, heave. Right? Just
Wearing gloves.
leaning back. Just leaning
Just got those heels digging into the
Yeah,
ground.
dog in.
Sitting on her ass with the heels dug into the
Sitting on
ground.
her ass, back up. Sit on her ass again. Back up again. Sit on her ass.
Yeah. It's too much to take.
God, I haven't been in a good tug of war in a long time.
Oh man, you think you could take me, Ian Kadog?
Hell no.
3-on-1?
No,
you don't.
Look at the weight that you have. You throw you as the anchor. Are you kidding me?
All right,
I'm not dragging you across a line. What
All
line
right.
am I going to drag you across?
Yeah, you could. You're strong,
dude.
How did you do in field day? It made me immediately harken back to the field day.
Yeah, I didn't have like
Tyler
the greatest
Elementary
field
School.
days, man.
What?
Yeah, I remember one. Just you know who was really good at field day? Merck of LPL Financial.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
Merck's
he's
an
a
athlete.
very versatile athlete. He did well.
Yeah.
To quite well. I remember doing fine, but I was never like threatening to win it. I don't know.
So you didn't have a lot of blue ribbons in your past?
No, I don't. I don't have a great recollection of field day.
Oh, I had tremendous success at field day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So you
Believe it or not.
you peaked in 4th grade.
Yeah, probably.
In what activities?
In running, I did some running competitions. Well, I did a
Running and jumping.
One of them was jumping. You know, they'd set up they'd set up the limbo stick, and everybody was trying to do, which was the hot move at the time.
Fosbury flop.
The Fosbury flop, where you jump over it with your 2 feet. And I was like, fuck that. I'm going in like over the top, like a running back over the top of the pile.
Wow. You dove in like Walter Payton.
I did. And won with that move. I don't remember some of the
How
other
high
ones.
were you jumping? Any idea?
No.
I mean, those sons of bitches jump higher than they are tall. How do you do that?
I don't know. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible calf strength. Would it be calves?
It's technique, dude. It's the whole Fosbury thing. Just being able to get that side motion and
Yeah.
momentum. I don't know.
Yeah, this is.
Is that Dick Fosbury himself?
Made it apparent he was a serious contender.
Look at that son of a bitch. He's got a body like
Valentin Gavrilov
This
from the
is
Soviet
nuts.
Union
It
failed
is.
at his attempt of 2.22 meters, while Fosbury and his US teammate Edward Carruthers cleared their way to
Carruthers,
a jump-off.
it's nice.
The bar sat at 2.24.
The bar is
Carruthers
high.
failed, and Fosbury took his new style of high jump over the bar and into the history books.
Wow.
Fosbury had won his
Nice.
Dick.
I think I did well on standing long jumps too.
Really?
Yeah. Believe it or not, back in the day, I don't know. I'll have to see if my mom's got any of the old ribbons.
You leapt.
Yeah.
Well done.
I'm sorry you didn't fare so well.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't have a great.
It's
I
unfortunate.
didn't have great success, and I don't have real specific memories of it. Probably because I
Yeah.
didn't have great success.
I would have pegged you as dominant back in those days. I mean, I've always known you as an athlete, so
don't
it's
know. I don't-
surprising to me. It's too bad. E, did you?
I don't really. I only had
you
one that I-
remember? Come on,
no,
man.
I don't. I remember doing it one year, and I remember that I ran. I guess I don't think I got a ribbon. So
I'm not sure that we had a super organized field day. Like it sounds like you had ribbons and all this shit. Like I don't.
Oh yeah, we had.
We definitely were keeping score. I remember like the gym teacher, Mr. Wind, he had a bag of Funyuns and a big gulp every day. Yeah,
gym teacher
yeah,
with a bag of foot.
Yes, huge gut. It was ridiculous.
Dude,
Mr.
what-
Wind.
What made you a gym teacher back in the day? Ours sat by the locker room shower and watched naked boys climb out of the showers, and you had to show him, prove him. Like you couldn't hide in the corner and just wrap a towel around you. You had to show him
your dong.
You had to show him like your ass cheeks or something, and just show him like, yes, I'm nude. I took my shit off for a shower. Humiliating.
Yeah, I don't know.
And yours?
did you have to be a teacher degree? I mean, there must have been a point where maybe they were just. Oh, this guy had played in the local high school.
It
or
must have
something?
been an easier track, dude, because I'm telling you, the few that I remember were just ridiculous.
Bag of Funyuns and a
Yes, I went to Middle Belt Elementary, which is now like a old folks home.
American House?
Yeah, at Middle Belt and 10 Mile, right?
Yeah.
And there was
isn't that East Middle School?
No, East Middle School's up the road, more toward 11 Mile.
Okay.
So Middle Belt Elementary was right by a 7-Eleven. There's a 7-Eleven
I remember
at 10 and Middle Belt as well. So the dude on his off hour or whatever, just walk over there and get a big gulp and Funyuns. Then he'd bring them back and he'd stand there while we played. Yeah, play spiders and flies. You know, we are the spiders. We are the flies. We're gonna get you. You just try. And then we'd run around trying to tag each other, and Wind would just stand there munching Funyuns.
Wow.
So
Nice gig.
this is the son of a bitch who's organized our field day, and I remember it roughly. You know, him with a stopwatch
Clipboard.
and a clipboard, putting his big gulp down to record a score
Yeah.
incorrectly. I'm sure
You don't-
he
you
didn't
don't-
care. He didn't.
You don't think he was accurately keeping time?
I know for a fact. I remember passing finish lines and looking back and then seeing him push the button.
Get out of here.
Dude, I used to argue it. I'd
I
be like,
agree.
Mr. Wind, no. You can try it again if you want, but your score's X. You know, I'm like, fuck, dude.
Wow, that's brutal.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
I'm not saying that's what lost me field day, but that's kind of what we were doing. It just wasn't real organized.
Yeah. I remember ours was pretty damn organized. I feel like it was an all-day thing. Am I wrong about that?
I had one that was. The only one I ever remember was. I agree with you. The one that I did was like an all-day thing. In fact, it wasn't even at our school. I was at the private school at the time, and we went to a different school. Even
Is this
I
the
think
first or second 8th grade?
not one of those grades.
No, I don't remember if it was all day. Yeah, I don't.
I remember it being all day. I remember colorful flags.
Wow, like those ones that they'd have at a used car dealership.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
It's
I remember
festive.
those. Yeah, I remember
Sets the tone.
a
sets the
sign-in table of sorts. I remember there being.
Did you wear like certain shoes and shorts? Like, did you get dressed up for it?
I must have.
Yeah.
I'm sure I must have. I remember popcorn being available.
Ooh.
I had
Yeah.
hot dogs at mine.
Hot dogs. Okay, hot dogs would have been nice. I didn't have hot dogs.
Did you guys have ice cream socials at your elementary schools?
I don't. No.
That's where I first encountered the moonwalk. The first time I ever saw a moonwalk, I was probably like in 3rd grade.
The Jackson moonwalk?
No, dude, like a moonwalk, like go
You
in
mean the
and
bouncy
jump.
toy?
The bounce, yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, I got stuck in there with a fat chick. Yes.
Whoa, was she launching you?
Fat chick went in there and just went, "Ooh," and she just laid in the middle, and I fell down in there with her.
Oh no.
She was like a 5th grader, and I was like a 3rd grader, and she was huge. It scarred me, dude. I couldn't get out. I was trying to climb out, and she's just laying there.
What happened to her?
Like at that moment? Like,
No,
did they
no,
kick her
like
out?
in life.
Oh,
Do you know?
don't.
I mean, did she?
I actually remember her
Did she
name.
turn it around or?
I don't know. I could look her up probably.
Really?
Mhm.
Well, that'll lead us into the Biggest Loser competition.
The Fat Show.
The Fat Show,
as it's known in the Detroit Cast household.
Right. Never been a huge fan of this show. Unfortunate choice of words there, but I did watch parts of season 1 or 2, maybe.
Yeah, you know what it's all about.
Yeah,
Enormously fat, unhealthy people trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
Sometimes at unhealthy rates.
And what's always come out of it is that these people lose a tremendous amount of weight.
And then they gain it all.
And then they gain it all back, which I don't fully understand because it seems like, at least when I've watched it,
it's a lifestyle, man. You got to
but it
change your
seems
lifestyle.
like they're changing their lifestyle. That's why they're there and they're eating
Yeah, but it's
better.
not real life, dude. You're in like a fat camp. You're away from your family. You're away from your
Yeah.
everyday. And they talk about that, like, oh, what's it going to be like when I, get back to real life? Am I going to be?
Yeah.
Because you're in this non-real world. You've got professional trainers pushing your ass.
Yeah.
You're totally motivated to win, and then you take that away and you try to live.
Yeah, it's kind of like
live
these
fit. It's tough.
These romances that take
Life
off
fit.
on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. It's like,
Right.
dude, really?
You go back to real life and they all fail because it's like you're in
Yeah.
a fairyland.
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, you mean it was easy to fall in love with someone when you're flying to Hawaii one day,
Right.
and the next you're in some competition where they're professing their love for you, and like it's this big game where you're doing the most amazing shit on the planet for 6 months. Of
Amazing
course.
being the key word.
Yeah, amazing. So anyway, The Biggest Loser, that's the biggest knock on it, is how these people just get huge again. I don't know. It seems weird, but there's a lot of these contestants keep coming out and
Gross.
and ragging on the show. And there's another story now. This Leslie Donahue, I don't recognize any of these names. I wouldn't be able to pick one of them out. Leslie Donahue, they were talking about how she survived Hurricane Katrina. Going on The Biggest Loser was worse than that for her. It's my biggest nightmare, and it's with me to this day. There's a controversial study that claims to explain why almost all Biggest Loser contestants regain massive amounts of weight. Numerous ex-losers reached out to the Post, the New York Post, to dispute its findings, revealing the show encouraged contestants to take street drugs while starving themselves.
Street drugs?
And to lie to them. I'm assuming they don't mean like Coke or something, but like Adderall and shit. And they wanted to encourage them to lie about how much weight they were losing. I don't know why you would need to do that. Don't they have a scale there that they weigh them on all the time?
They do have
I mean,
a scale that purports to tell a true weight.
What I remember about that show was fat people, a lot of tears being shed, and scales. Like that's
the big
what I
scale they all go on. And like last week you were 350. Now,
Yeah. The thing about all these people is they have major issues.
Do they?
Oh yeah, it's not just like, oh, I'm fat, I need to lose weight. It's like, my mom used to fat shame me, and
oh
you know,
yeah, I know what
just,
that's like. It's
and they
awful.
they
You've
all
got
have
people
these,
that fat shame you all the time.
Oh,
That's
they all have
brutal.
these issues and this
Yeah.
crying that goes on and sad sack stories. And it's
You don't sound like you have much
fast
sympathy.
forward. I just want to see how much she lost this week. Who gets kicked off?
So anyway, this federally funded study conducted by Dr. Kevin Hall at the
Federally funded to get
Yeah.
to the bottom of Biggest Loser.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was Kevin Hall at the National Institutes of Health published a couple weeks ago. Says changing metabolic rates, hormone levels, and genetic predispositions explain post-show weight gain. What's missing, former losers say, is any exam of the show's secret and brutal tactics, which include providing illicit drugs to contestants, submitting them to questionable medical exams by the resident doctor, Rob Huizenga, known as Dr. H. You familiar with Dr.
yeah.
H?
Yeah.
Does he seem credible?
Yeah, that guy. You've never seen him?
No.
Sort of Danny Bonaducci looking.
Wow.
dude.
Yeah, he does. Totally looks like Bonaducci. People were passing out in Dr. H's office at the final weigh-in, says season 2 Suzanne Mendanka. On my season, 5 people had to be rushed to the hospital. He knew exactly what we were doing, and he never tried to stop it.
That's what's shocking, man. You watch this and it's like, this is not safe. You're putting like a 420-pound dude on this treadmill and forcing him to keep walking,
Well,
even though he's
is
like complaining of his
Chest pains.
His heart hurts.
Well,
Really?
That's the thing.
Keep
right?
going. It's just-
They just suggest like you're just being a pussy, and it's like, dude,
Yeah.
okay, at some point, you're
No,
fat.
Don't you
you're
almost
out of
have to
shape.
do that to people though? Like
Yeah,
push them to
totally,
it because
yeah.
everybody
'Cause
goes,
they are
"Oh my god, I'm
pussies. They are
dying."
pussies. Exactly. A lot of them don't
I did that-
understand how to push through pain, but they are flat out unhealthy. You know, I mean, these
Yeah.
people are really in dire situations, and a lot of them, there are issues like the first show when they're making them run, 200 yards to a finish line or something. A lot of them struggle with that and
Really?
collapse and shit. Yeah.
Wow. Many contestants return with grave medical issues they never suffered before. This show is so corrupt. The source confirms that show trainer Bob Harper and one of his
Oh, I love
assistants.
Bob.
Do you?
Yeah, Bob's great.
Have supplied contestants with Adderall and quote yellow jackets, pills that contain ephedra. Didn't they make ephedra illegal a few years ago?
I don't know. I've taken that though. That's pretty effective.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Banned. I think it was banned by the FDA. Bob Harper was my trainer, says Joel Gwynn of 2008's Couples season. He goes away and his assistant comes in. He's got this brown paper bag that's bundled up. Take this drug. It'll really help you. It was yellow and black. I was like, what the fuck is this? Gwen says she took the pill once. I felt jittery and hyper. I went and told the sports medicine guy. The next day, Dr. H gave us some lame explanation of why that got added to our regimen, and it was up to us to take them. People chastise Bill Cosby for allegedly offering meds to women, but it's acceptable to do to fat people to make them lose weight.
Oh,
I feel like we got raped too.
Mm.
Wow, that's quite a statement to make when you're trying to compare them giving you ephedra
Right.
versus Cosby drugging you to the point of unconsciousness and raping you.
Yeah, here we go. 2004, escalating concerns regarding the safety of ephedra supplements led the FDA to ban the sale of supplements containing ephedrine alkaloids, specifically ephedrine, blah, 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 in the United States in 2004. Ban was challenged by supplement manufacturers, initially overturned, but ultimately upheld. I didn't realize you couldn't get that anymore.
People would take amphetamines, water pills, diuretics, and throw up in the bathroom. Season 2's Mendanka says they would take their spin bikes into the steam room to work up a sweat. I vomited every single day. Bob Harper tells people to throw up.
Sounds
Good.
like high school wrestling, man.
You'll lose more calories. Yeah. None of those claims seem all that
No, trying to drop weight.
Yeah, like that's the whole point of the show. It is a show. It's not about your health. Let's be very clear about this.
Right.
This has very little to do with you
It's to
being
entertain
healthy.
us.
This is
We want to
so
see
people
big numbers on that scale.
people want to see the fat, really, really fat guy. Like, can that fat slob lose a few pounds?
We
for
want to
real?
see before and after. We love that, right? We love
Yes.
the makeover.
Yes. So yeah, the show was an atrocity, says Dr. Yanni Friedhoff, who specializes in fats at the University of Ottawa. This approach is not endorsed by anyone in the medical community. NBC has made an awful lot of money off damaging these individuals.
Hey, you know, we mentioned Lions quarterback Eric Kramer today. What about Lions quarterback Scott Mitchell, who went on that show? How
that's
did he do?
right. I imagine he would do well. Don't athletes usually do well on shows like that?
There was one guy who was an Olympic wrestler. You know the name, man, if you heard it.
I remember.
He was a gold medalist, I think.
Yes.
And he was a badass Greco-Roman wrestler, and then he just ballooned.
Yeah.
And he went on here, and I believe he did very, very well.
Yeah,
'Cause you'd
most
think
athletes
to
do.
tap into that, you know,
Yeah.
push yourself like mere mortals wouldn't. All right, he got eliminated at how big? 246. So he started at 366.
But he's like 6'7", isn't he? I mean, he's really big.
Yeah.
We've got a picture with him, and he towers over you.
Yeah.
He's a big dude.
What are
He
you gonna
lost
do?
120 pounds.
God, it looks like he just got inflated. He looks like the same guy, just like somebody took a air
Yeah.
pump and just started pumping.
So was he? Was his? Did you watch his season?
No, I just remember him being on. I think it was last year, wasn't it?
No, I think it was more than that, longer than that ago. I'd like to see who else was on his season. If it was other athletes, then whatever. But if you've just got people that are known, if they're just some sort of celebrity,
right?
I imagine actors and actresses would suck, but athletes would do well. This show permanently damages people's metabolic rates. This Dr. Friedhoff says it's extremely rare for an obese person to permanently lose half their body weight through diet and exercise. Surgery is the only way. So there will never be a control group to prove the study's thesis. One of the reasons this adaptation seems to be so severe and irreversible could be due to psychological stress. Every contestant who spoke to the Post cites this very factor. The Biggest Loser doesn't save lives. It ruins lives mentally, emotionally, financially. You come back a different person. Half the people from my season have gotten divorced. Well, yeah, that's because you're like a huge fatso, probably married to a huge fatso, and then you lose half your body weight.
Back in the game.
Yeah.
Hey,
You're back.
former Lion
You're on
Damian
TV a
Woody
little.
was also on that one.
Oh, I remember
Remember him?
Damian Woody. Sure, he was a lineman.
Yeah. Yeah,
Damian Woody won Super Bowls.
Yeah, we
didn't
got
he?
him from the Patriots.
Patriots, yeah. Yeah, he's a
Dude, I
big
think that was last
dude.
year.
Yeah, that was last year, season 16.
It really was?
I
That
swear, if you would
Mitchell
have
was
told
on-
me, I would
I
have
would've
said
said 5 years ago.
I thought 2 or 3 years ago for sure.
Wow.
That's the only other athlete I notice on there, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, you'd think
Yeah.
they'd have a tremendous advantage just going through the rigors that they have in their
Sure.
careers.
Yeah. I don't recognize any names on there besides those two. So
There he is. That's Rulon Gardner.
Wow.
The wrestler.
he's not that huge. Like Biggest Loser huge.
On the right?
And he's a big dude, but he still looks kind of huge here.
Looks like a friggin' fire hydrant.
Yeah, he does kind of look like one of those Russian dolls that you pull apart and there's another one inside it. Those things are amazing. Those are amazing, those Russian dolls. They're amazing.
They're compelling, right? You can't stop.
Yeah, you know what's coming.
Gross.
You know, but you want to get to that last little wee son of a bitch in the middle of it. And it's always fun to do. Always.
I agree with you. And aren't you always like, are we sure this is the last one?
Really?
You
sure
kind
we
of
can't
shake it and you
bust that son of a bitch open and get one more
what's
out of
in
this
one.
So yeah, they the ripple effect isn't just weeks or months, it's years. For some contestants, the torture begins before filming. When I was going through the applicant process, they told me, "You're not fat enough." She was 5'6", 230. They said, "You need to gain 40 pounds. Keep eating."
What? Come on.
Yeah, they wanted her to plump up, be as fat as she could be before starting the filming. So she entered the show.
Someone else. Those are,
Right,
I'm
you
sure
have
there's enough
plenty to
messed up
choose
people
from.
in the country.
Are you sure
like-
though? I don't know how many. You sure there's enough fat Americans that you could find the right one?
Maybe.
So she enters the show at
Why
almost
would you-
260 then.
She must have just really had a story, right?
Or she's full of shit.
Or they were totally joking. Like, I'm sorry, you're just too small. You'd have to really pork up to come back
Yeah.
and be on this. Oh my God. Can you believe they said that?
Like all participants, Leslie Donahue was separated from family and friends, contact immediately cut off. That's
a reality show.
All reality shows do that. It's usually a reward challenge somewhere in the middle of the season. You can call a family member
Yeah.
for 5 minutes. With all of them, these sound like big complainers.
Such pussies.
Stop it. For her season, producers installed contestants in a former psychiatric hospital and put 12 obese contestants in one bedroom in the LA heat with no air conditioning.
Yeesh.
It was hot as hell and the smell was horrible. I bet it was. Imagine that. 12 of those.
All the folds.
Contestants were forced to shower together with no curtains or barriers of any kind. Did they give them blinders at least? Like that would be horrible to have to witness that. Wouldn't that would be scarring?
Do I look as bad as you?
There were also no working toilets. So producers made these severely overweight contestants squeeze into porta potties, a challenge even for thin people. Yeah, that's
a challenge. What does he mean a challenge for thin
porta potties do suck. You don't get much leg room and you can't really move around in them.
I don't think I've ever shat in a porta potty.
Yeah.
I have, unfortunately.
You have, Mike?
Yeah. I don't.
Boy, I would avoid at all costs.
Yeah,
It could be
obviously
something
it's
I've
an
blocked
emergency
out.
situation.
Right.
Yeah. Anytime you're going into a shitter anywhere outside of your home, it's basically an emergency situation. Let's be honest.
Harpos.
Right. So Donahue's daily food intake consisted of 7 asparagus sticks and 3 ounces of turkey. Once eliminated, all contestants go home and are expected to keep losing weight with no support from the show.
No support.
They're contractually obligated to weigh in on the show's finale. I wasn't going to go. They threatened to sue you. Since the show, she's gained all the weight back, every last pound. She lost her job, suffers from depression, and has thousands of dollars in medical bills as a result of the trauma her body went through. I read that NIH study, and there's so much more that people don't know. There are nurses sitting there filling people with IV packs. I took away an eating disorder. I have nightmares about it. Before the season 2 finale, this cop, Mark Yazidis, dumped 17 pounds of water weight. I was probably near death. Months earlier, after he was sent home, but before the finale, he was in unbearable pain. I had to have my gallbladder removed. I'd never had issues with my gallbladder before the rapid weight loss. The day after my surgery, I ran 5 miles. My doctor was really angry, but that's how brainwashed I was. He suffers from depression. And I've seen a lot of bad things. I've seen people's brains shot out. As a cop.
The Rulon Gardner Russian doll set.
No, very
well
nice.
done, Kadog.
And he said, yes, you guessed it. Being on The Biggest Loser is worse than seeing people's brains blown out. Psychologically, you're like a weight victim. The weight rapidly came back on. Your metabolism is all screwed up, but you think it's you. Jen Watts, when she got off the show, I thought I can't work 8 hours a day because I have to train 8 hours a day. I started taking Zoloft and Xanax for the anxiety and depression. My marriage, that only took a couple of years to disintegrate. NBC refused to confirm whether The Biggest Loser will return for season 18. Can't believe that's 18 seasons.
Yeah, really, man. That
That's
is remarkable.
Long time.
I mean, who really can look at that and think that that's a healthy way for these people to lose weight? I mean, is this unexpected that
have
these
they
people
killed anyone yet?
I don't think so, but there's been some scares, and it's hard to tell how big the scare is because obviously they're trying to create a show, right? And
right.
Get you excited.
Which is, I do remember thinking that when that show first came out, and you've got these people that are absolutely massive, and they're working their asses. You know, they're running them on a beach.
It's dangerous.
And I remember thinking at the time, okay, it's just a matter of time before they're going to kill someone.
Right.
One of these people is going to fall over right there on the spot.
Yeah, I don't believe they have. We remember that, right?
I don't know, but yeah, it's a TV show. Make no bones about it. They don't give a shit about these people. There's no follow-up program for them. They just send them on their way. Okay, we're done with you. It's crazy.
Bye-bye. Hey, spring's upon us, and our friends at Zot Ford and Holly want to celebrate the season with a smoking hot deal for all TDC listeners. Right now, and only at Zot Ford, you can lease a brand new 16 Ford Escape for only $180 per month for 24 months with zero cash due at signing. There's no better time than the present to dump your busted-out, beat-down hoopty and upgrade to a sweet new Ford Escape with our friends at Zot Ford. Surf their stunning deals and massive inventory at ZotFord.com.
Look at this poop.
Oh, look at the little guy sitting in a bathtub.
Man. I was acting up.
Deserved it.
Oh, man.
What did he do?
This son of a bitch. This happened in Oregon. Couples claim their baby was left with pretty horrific injuries at the hands of their babysitter, including a bruise shaped like a handprint. Oh, man. They didn't deserve that. But authorities are not pursuing the case. Joshua Marbury and Alicia Queenie claim they left their 1-year-old son Jacob with the babysitter to go on a date night in March. They return home to find their son screaming.
Oh my God, that is a nightmare, dude.
Yeah.
Come home to that. Oh,
poops.
Lock her up and throw away the key. That is unreal, man.
Yeah. You can tell by the arm here that somebody tried to grab that fucking thing and shake it.
Shut up! Stop crying! Stop crying!
Some sort of shaking went
This'll
on.
help. I'll yell in its face to stop crying.
Yeah.
That'll calm it
That
down.
almost never works.
Stop crying!
Look at that face. How do you shake
I-
and slap that guy?
I don't know.
He's absolutely adorable.
Because it's not yours, or maybe you do it to your own. I don't know, dude. I don't know how anybody does that.
He's the cutest little kid. They said they return home, they find him screaming, the kid, and the babysitter's just crashed on the couch. Jacob was covered in bruises the next morning, and they reported the incident to police. However, 2 months later, with no criminal charges being filed, they claim the authorities have let him down. So they took to Facebook to post these pictures, which is a good move.
Yeah,
I
really.
mean, that'll get around the web in a heartbeat. You show bruises on a baby, you'll get all of a sudden this will be tried in the public courtroom.
Wow.
So they said that, Marbury took to Facebook to vent the ruling in Oregon, stopping his son's alleged abuser from being charged, and post these pictures. Marbury was referring to a 2012 ruling in Oregon, the Court of Appeals, which prosecutors say make it hard to file charges in cases of abuse where victims can't speak. So that's like, hey, look, man.
The handprint bruise on the side of his head speaks for itself.
Yeah, well, as a prosecutor, I don't know that who's to say he didn't do that to himself. And since he refuses to answer any of our questions, we cannot. Is this kid subscribing?
He's not talking. He's not talking.
He won't. He's one of these. I ain't snitching. He's one of those no snitch guys, and so he won't speak up. And so I'm dropping this case. I can't proceed without his help.
They set him in the chair. They push a lighter and pack of cigarettes over to him. Now tell me what happened.
He's going.
I ain't snitching.
I ain't saying shit talking to you, pig. Get out of here, pig. This giant handprint bruise on his face.
Poor little guy. It's a good thing he's okay.
In order to convict a child abuser of felony assault or criminal mistreatment, prosecutors have to prove the victim suffered a physical injury and suffered substantial pain. Look at it, poops.
In his bouncy seat.
Yep,
Look at him.
I've got my bright starts on. Sitting here in my bouncy chair. He's absolutely adorable.
I know,
Of all babies I've ever
legs,
seen.
man.
Yeah, chubby legs. Yep, I look like the Michelin Man. This is difficult to prove if victims are unable to explain their suffering. Prosecutors have said that children under 5 are often unable to articulate substantial pain. And this is also true of older children with developmental. So if you've got a big E in the house, so if you got a child with developmental issues, it's also hard for them to articulate.
It's
a lot of
season.
A lot of times they're afraid to speak out against their abusers. The ruling means that adults are able to get away with hurting children as long as the injuries are not too bad. As the ruling says, bruises, welts, and shallow cuts are often not enough to prosecute. That's incredible when you're talking about a 1-year-old.
It is, man.
His post quickly went viral. It's been attracted more than 150,000 shares already. Marbury said multiple doctors told them that the bruising on Jacob showed a handprint. So wait. So that means you went to a doctor and they went, yeah, that's a handprint on his face. And you went, I need a second opinion. And so then you went to another doctor, and that doctor, in the same day, you got him in again to another doctor. And he said, nah, that looks like a human handprint on his face. And you went, I'm going to need a third one. And then you tracked down another doctor because you're saying multiple doctors have told you this. I don't know that I buy that.
Who's to say it was the babysitter, though? Right? Ooh, and that's the other side of that
flipping
argument.
this and saying Marbury might have done this to his own kid? Wow. A detective
you get a
informed,
little violent with him one day, and hey, man, time to blame the babysitter.
Yeah.
Look at that little guy with a droopy eye. How do you hit that guy? Look at his supple little tummy.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, he's a cute little dude.
He's so adorable. Look at that black eye. It looks like someone punched him in his little eye.
Mike, I want him.
I don't think you can have him.
I want him.
You know what? I didn't want to pile on him. He's got enough stress right now, obviously, going on in his world. But should he have more hair for a 1-year-old? I mean, seriously, and not to pile on.
He's a little behind on that. He's got, some lighter hair. So
all right. So the mom sees him like this when she gets home. She's probably hammered first night away, out. And she's like, she's
about to get laid. They're thinking, we'll just pay the babysitter. Babysitter leaves, and bam, we're at it, right?
Exactly.
And then she sees that, and your whole night is ruined.
Well, she sees it in kind of a drunken haze. She's like, oh, it looks like he drew on his face. She figured he got a marker out and drew like a black eye on himself, which would be incredibly difficult to believe that a 1-year-old would draw himself a black eye, but
Yeah,
whatever.
she's hammered.
She's hammered. We'll let it go. So she thinks he drew on his own face, and then when he turned over, his whole right side of his face was black and blue. She also found marks on his ear, his arm, and his back. You can see his little forehead with the bump. Oh, poor little guy. He's always been a mama's boy, but ever since this happened, he's a mama's boy times 100.
Poor little man. Hey, if you dread bookkeeping and accounting for your business as much as, I don't know, you dread your daughter announcing her first boyfriend.
Ooh, that's got to be a tough one.
Let Kyle Mayer handle it all for you. Kyle's a pro who you can trust, so spend more time on your core business and leave those awful, annoying accounting and bookkeeping tasks to Kyle. Call him today, 248-521-0016. Tell him the Detroitcast sent you. Kyle will give you 10% off.
What is the babysitter's end game, by the way? I mean, how do you think you're going to wallop
seriously.
a kid upside the
No,
head?
you lose it, dude. You lose it. You're not thinking.
Yeah.
It can't be. You
But
can't
then-
be, dude. You're
But then you're
losing.
crashed on the couch and the kid's wailing away in the background like that. That's insane.
What if she didn't do it? What if he didn't do it? He or she? Do we know?
I don't know. They didn't say. They haven't identified the babysitter or anything. I don't know.
But think about that. If the babysitter smartly lawyers up immediately and says nothing,
yeah, I don't know.
and the lawyer suggests, hey, why are you suggesting it's my client? Why don't you look at the parents, prosecutor?
Ooh, throw it back in Marbury's face.
Right?
Yeah.
That
It's
was
not a bad
there when
move.
she got there.
Yeah. Then 2 against 1. The kid's obviously not into
Kid
snitching.
can't
So
tell. Yeah, you got to flip the kid. That's the only way. It's the only way we get a prosecution out of this.
Yeah. Well, good luck. I mean, they've all tried to get this kid to snitch, and he ain't biting. So whatever.
Hey, don't forget about our Amazon link. Please use it, DetroitCast.com. It's a great way to support the show.
Amazon.
It's pretty incredible. All you have to do is go through our portal, and we get a bit of a kickback, and you'll find everything you need.
There has never been a company quite like Amazon.
Yeah,
There is
Amazon.
very little Amazon doesn't have.
You know, that reminds me of 60 Minutes, dude. Morley Safer of
Oh.
60 Minutes. We talked about him retiring last week.
Yeah.
They do the whole retirement special on him. He dies! He dies a week after his retirement. What a nightmare!
Yeah, that's brutal.
Nightmare, dude.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
By the way, I thought you sent a brilliant, nothing short of a brilliant tweet about Morley Safer. And I'm sorry, sir, but it did not.
It didn't reach critical acclaim.
It did not. I figured I was kind of jealous. I was like, oh man,
Just jealous.
that's an awesome tweet. And that is going to be one of these. Like I had one about guns and it took off. And it's an amazing feeling when a tweet takes off, Jay.
It was timely. It was
And-
right after the death. I was right on top of it.
You were. I hadn't even heard the news yet. And all of a sudden, my gun one about going into a kindergarten and shooting a school up or something, it got, you want to send a tweet viral, hit the gun people because they're very into that shit. And so I had one and instantly it was like boom, 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 120 retweets. And I figured that your Morley Safer one was going to hit its stride. And I came back 9 hours later or something. It was like 5 retweets, 15 likes. I was like,
didn't have much success.
ooh. I mean, it was one of those where it was such an
It's so
uncomfortable
small, I
thing.
can barely even find it on my feed here. I'm looking for it, and I'm just not even. All right, here we go. 60 Minutes was to Morley Safer what Hair was to Samson. Dead within week of retirement. Brightside rerun retirement show as in memoriam.
That's a brilliant tweet, dude.
How many characters did I leave?
Zero.
Zero.
I could tell that you'd squeezed everything you could out of that tweet.
Yeah.
The joke was great.
It's formulated perfectly,
I mean,
right?
most people at the time this news had broke, we were still in the stage of, oh my God, R.I.P. Morley Safer at
levity.
60 Minutes.
We needed levity, and I tried to bring some.
And you bring a fucking Samson hair joke? Are you kidding me?
And
it was huge. How many retweets did it?
14. 20 likes.
Oh, man.
Can you believe it?
Wow.
I know. It's sort of like the Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique. You know?
Yeah.
You look back on it, you could admire what they did.
Yeah.
You can acknowledge the it was groundbreaking. It was there artistically.
Yeah, the public wasn't ready for it.
They weren't ready.
Yeah, so that tweet, I mean, while due critical acclaim, it just wasn't received by the public like it
And
should
that's
have.
okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So that was your pet sounds?
It was my pet sounds, Brian Wilson.
Yeah. It happens. What are you going to do?
We'll look back at this years from now and admire it and realize the genius in it.
Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, I don't know what my tweet did or has done with a Bernstein, but it in no way deserves more
than 14 retweets and 20 likes. And what do you got?
18 and 6.
Damn it.
And this is a throw. I mean,
hold on. You have 18 retweets and 6 likes?
No.
Okay.
No.
Other way around.
18 likes and 6 retweets.
Yeah. See, that's 18 people going, or 12 of those people said, yeah, okay. Not good enough to share with my people, but yeah. That's what that like and non-retweet is. Mike.
It pisses me off because I look at yours and they're very balanced. If people like yours, they share it. Mine, not so much. They go, I'll give them a heart, but I'm not retweeting that to my audience.
No, you're getting it. Yeah, you're getting better at this Twitter thing.
For instance, that picture I sent out of Beth.
Yeah.
Right? It's just Beth from behind I leave her alone for 1 second. She ends up in the weirdo section of the grocery store. Hashtag Beth, hashtag healthy, hashtag gross. 47 likes, 13 retweets. It's off balance.
It is. It's just not shareable. It's likable. It's just not shareable.
I know.
You're not going to that shareable level.
Yeah. It's too bad. Anyway. So I'm sorry about that, Jay. That tweet deserved a lot more than it got.
I appreciate you acknowledging that. Hey, we have some email, Mike.
What do we got?
Well, Kevin writes in, gentlemen and Mrs. Fady, we've heard of hands on hips guy, cell phone on the urinal guy, and even hands on the wall guy.
Yes.
Speaking of course of urinal usage while in the men's room. What about cheeseburger on the urinal guy? Are you familiar with him? Me either. I've had the pleasure of meeting this guy. He's actually a friend of mine. Several years back while hanging out at a local dive bar, 2 of my friends hatched a plan to disgust and offend other patrons. In the men's room, there were 2 urinals side by side without any dividers. When the bathroom was empty, one friend placed a half-eaten cheeseburger on top of the urinal. When someone approached the bathroom, the second friend would run in and occupy the other urinal, forcing the next guy to use the urinal with the cheeseburger. As soon as that guy started going, the owner of said cheeseburger would walk in, reach around the guy as he was pissing and say, "Oh, excuse me, I forgot this." Grab the cheeseburger and walk out to disgust everyone who witnessed it. This scenario was replayed several times that night. Good
That's
times.
not bad.
That's nasty, dude.
Yeah. He would eat it. He would eat it in front of him.
Yeah, that's what I don't know how. Yeah, dude, I think that, to be honest, I think it's funny, but I think the real
you got to
move is
take a bite.
You have to, you have to say, I forgot this and read it.
Look him in the face. And eat it.
Start eating
Yeah,
it.
I think so. For me.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a good move, but I think
it's a good move. It could be better. Yep, could be perfected.
Wolfie writes in, bike gear douches. So this, of course, comes on the heels of my bitching about guys dressing up in full Tour de France gear when they just go for a bike ride. It confounds me, dude. Why you can't just wear shorts and a t-shirt?
You
Why?
can. Oh, you can.
Apparently you can't. Apparently you can't.
No.
You never see guys riding down the street without anything short of Tour de France gear.
Yeah.
All matched up from helmet to fucking toe.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Hello, lovers. I totally agree with you about the dicks that dress up like the Tour de France when out riding. I do triathlons, including Ironman races. When I train, I never dress like that. It's stupid. What's the point? You're just being a dick. Fuck off, bike douches. The same goes for the doctors and dentists that dress up on their weekends in their leather biker gear and ride their Harleys trying to look badass. You've seen those guys for sure.
Yeah.
Warmest regards, Wolfie. All right, Jordan, one of our pilot listeners, writes in concerning Egypt Air 804. Podcast legends / ear terrorists. Take your pick. Egypt Air 804. As of this time of writing this Thursday afternoon, the investigation's just starting. This is all the signs of terrorism. As good as the security is in Paris, it is still not very good. We get security briefings regularly in the aviation industry containing information from the TSA and Homeland Security. We know that Islamic extremists have attempted to infiltrate U.S. airports as baggage handlers, catering personnel, or other jobs inside security. I would not be surprised if we were to see some type of extremist in Paris causing the aircraft to crash. The end of Flight 804, the aircraft was flying erratically, which tells me that the crew was not in control of the aircraft. On episode 583, for all the bitching and whining that was done about how awful that episode was, have you forgotten the abortion that was episode 561?
Well, there's probably a lot of abortions mixed in there.
Well, this is one in particular that you'll remember immediately. 13 minutes and 41 seconds of John Denver and Kermit the fucking Frog.
Oh,
Then
yeah.
it continues for another 36 minutes, 19 seconds of utter shit, Biggie's babbling excitement to go to San Francisco. Not really saying anything, just that he was going.
I remember that episode well. I don't think there was a lot going on in the news that day.
If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair.
Yeah, 49 minutes of show spent on John Denver and Biggie's stuttering voice of excitement on the pillow of that fucking John McKenzie San Francisco song.
Yeah, I remember it. That was an embarrassment for all of us.
Deep breaths, sister. It's embarrassing. Yeah. It was one of those slap happy, I think, mornings.
I think it was a fun show to do, though.
Yeah,
If I
probably
remember
wasn't
it,
very
it was-
fun to listen to.
No, it wasn't one of those where we were thinking and respecting the audience in any
No.
way. But personally, sitting in the studio that night was a lot of fun.
I didn't consider the audience for a second.
No, I
Yeah.
didn't. Obviously, clearly.
I forgot we had an audience.
Yeah.
Do we have an audience?
I
Well, Jordan was listening. Deep breaths, says Jordan. My point is that 583, while a low point in the resume of the podcast legends such as yourself, it's not too bad compared to the ear rape that was 561. I've got unconditional love for the show, guys. Don't beat yourself up over at 583. Beat shit out of E and whoever put on John fucking Denver in 561.
Kadog.
Jordan the pilot.
I believe that was Kadog.
Kadog wasn't here.
No,
It wasn't?
you guys.
It was.
It was what?
It was,
guys.
It was me. Oh, it was me.
That was playing
Yeah.
from over there? How did we?
Well, I introduced it.
No, I remember that. Okay.
It came about when we were searching for the San Francisco song. John Denver was like the next video up.
Yeah.
And then it was like, Country Road,
Take me home
to the place
where
I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me. I mean, how can you resist, right?
Yeah,
And then you
yeah.
sing along, then all of a sudden you're into Sunshine on My Shoulders. And
Yeah.
then you're on to
Running
You
my
fill
high.
up my senses like a night in the forest, right?
Yeah.
How can you deny that one?
Yeah.
Then
Rocky Mountain High.
Then you're off and running.
And then that dovetailed into Kermit the Frog.
You
doing-
realize Kermit's a fucking southpaw,
Yep.
badass, sitting in the middle of a swamp.
Yep. Sitting on a lily pad, just crushing a Denver tune.
So you got to give him his due,
Yep.
right? And then all of
Yeah.
a sudden you're 49 minutes in. I don't know. Sorry, Jordan.
Yeah.
We got away from ourselves a little bit. Howard, the Walmart greeter, writes in, gentlemen and Etard, listening to the cock holster run his suck in the J-List episode 584, and the Tard himself begins to explain a story about how he left work last year, did an illegal U-turn, and struck a motorist. He then explained how said same motorist went back to the dealership and bitched, trying to get Fady fired. What the turd gurgler left out was that a loyal TDC listener up at Zotford supporting the show responded to the scene of the accident and checked in with him to make sure that he was okay. Thanks for the non-shout out for the care and compassion my wife and I showed you, E. Oh, and for the record, the douchey driver of the other car went into Zot that day and raised hell too. I told the staff there that Eric wasn't at fault with the accident, a lie, to try to help him out. You don't remember that?
Yeah, of course I do. That wasn't. Why would I bring that up in the story? The story wasn't about that. The story was about guys, people caring about trying to get people fired for stuff that it's. I don't know.
That's an accident.
Yeah.
Well, Howard the Walmart greeter's mad about it.
Oh no.
He's in a terrible mood today.
Yeah, he's in a mood.
Something
today.
happened to him, man.
Something
happened.
didn't.
Oh,
No, I've had a great- not really. I had a great-
something happened.
Not really. I had a great
Mm.
weekend and I'm having a great day. I don't know what you're talking about. As usual.
You can feel it in the room.
You can definitely feel the tension. The tension. You can cut it with a knife. He's barely spoken all day.
I know.
I think he's mad at me.
Really?
I'm not mad at
So,
anything.
What are you mad at Jay for?
I'm not mad at anything.
You're furious with Jay for what
You're
reason?
furious. What did I ever do to you?
I'm not even. I don't. As usual, you guys just now you said this. Now you've made whatever stuff is your own shit on me because then you know the listeners will
Yeah.
just think it's me.
What have I ever done to you, E?
I don't know.
It's a
I'm
fair
not even
question.
I'm
mad.
always good to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not even mad. I've had a fucking amazing weekend. I've just been sitting here. I don't know. That's just been stuff I haven't talked about.
So
I guess.
amazing that you're just sitting there pouting during
I haven't been pouting at
the
all.
best part of your weekend. TDC.
When it, okay. I wasn't. See, now you've like made this weird. I wasn't pouting in any capacity.
I challenge the listener to listen.
What a shy! Yeah,
for how many times?
I wonder what
not that it's a bad thing. Not that it's a bad thing that he hasn't spoken the whole
say.
episode. But I challenge you to
Yeah.
rewind through this one.
Yeah, okay.
And
Yeah, I
identify the
wonder what will
two
happen.
times that he made a remark.
I wonder what will happen. You're right. Let's see what they say.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Some email about it.
I'm sure he'll be in a good mood in 12 hours when we reconvene.
Oh, dude.
Didn't want to think about that, did you?
No.
Oh, Mike, it'll be fun.
No.
I'm going to miss you guys for the 12 hours
I
I'm
am
gone.
too. You guys want to stay the night? We'll make a party of it?
No.
Okay. All right.
Thanks,
Well, let's get out of here.
Let's call it a day.
Yeah, let's do that. Thanks everybody for hanging, listening to the show. Appreciate it. And we'll do it again tomorrow. We'll see you then.
You've been listening to the Detroit Cast with your hosts, Mike and Jay. From all of us at Radio for One Studios, thank you for listening. And as always, thank you, Detroit.